Welcome. In this episode, we will go over the process of deploying and configuring Azure virtual machines with a focus on choosing the right VM size, image, and operating system settings, and also ensuring high scaling and high availability. So let's get started. First, let's talk about VM sizes. Selecting the right size is crucial based on your workload. For instance, B series, that is Bravo series, is great for budget-friendly options. D series, Delta series, is a general purpose VM that is balanced for performance and cost. Then there's one more, that is F series. That is actually for high compute optimized workloads, which need more raw CPU power. Now remember, these are just few of the example. Azure have multiple series which is actually tailored made for your requirements. For example, you also need a graphic card. Let's say you want to run AutoCAD or any graphical intensive workload. There is a series called N series, November series, that actually bundles a graphic card with it. Now, you can choose a size based on CPU, that is, how many cores you need, memory, that is, how much RAM you require, and also your storage requirements to ensure that your VM can handle your specific tasks efficiently. Now, the next concept is VM images. Well, when we move to VM images, here you can select a pre-configured image from Azure Marketplace, such as image for Windows operating system or Linux operating system. Plus, there are many more, like hundreds of other images or ISOs specifically for other platforms such as Cisco, Barracuda, Fortinet, and many more. Imagine that you want to create a NVA, Network Virtual Appliance. And for that, you have to install the ISO. Azure Marketplace will have it. Now, how about your own custom images? Well, custom images for environments that require a specialized configuration that you know and you have already created your custom image, maybe on premises or on cloud, you can still use that. Well, these images will provide a quick way to get your VM up and running with the operating system and software stack which your organization need or maybe you need. Once the VM or virtual machine is deployed, configuring operating system settings is the next important thing to do. Specifically, this is done for optimization and security. You better make sure to enable automatic updates to keep your system secure. Apply patch management to ensure compliance and security policies. You can also optimize the performance and adjust networking settings to match your VM's specific role. Then, how about scaling and availability? Well, to ensure that your VM environment can handle changes in load, that is, request, you should consider scaling with your VM scale set, a yet another service offered by Azure, that is, VMSS, Virtual Machine Scale Sets. This actually allows you to automatically scale the number of VMs based on incoming demand or any demand spikes. You should also distribute your VM across multiple zones by using the concept called availability zones. Why will you do that? You will do it for high availability and fault tolerance, ensuring that even if one zone experiences any issues or outage, your service will still remain operational. And when you will configure a VM, right, operating system customization can also be Done. Why will you do that? Well, to further automate the process, you can use tools like uh, CloudNet for Linux or the custom script or maybe ARM template for your Windows to automatically configure the operating system during the deployment, saving you time and effort. In simple words, while deploying your operating system, if you want to make some changes in your operating system, at the end of your deployment, there is a tab called Advanced Options. Over there, you can actually copy paste your script. That script will be initialized by Azure in the process of deployment. And according to that script, the changes will be made on your machine. So let's go to our lab and check out how easy it is to deploy a virtual machine or to find a specific size or images. So I will see you in the lab. All right, welcome to your next lab. In this lab, we will discuss how to deploy Azure Virtual Machine. Remember, there will be two labs in this section. In this one, I will show you the fastest way to get going with a virtual machine, where I will just go to Azure Virtual Machine and deploy all the dependencies together. In the next one, I will show you how to create every component separately and then connect it so that you get more flexibility with your infrastructure, and that can also help you for troubleshooting. So let's get started with our virtual machine now. So I am in my Azure portal. As you can see, I don't even have a resource group. It's a fresh slate. Now, I will search for Azure Virtual Machine. Click on it, and then I will click on Create Azure Virtual Machine. Perfect. Now, I will select my subscription because the minimum you need is a subscription, which is valid. Then the next one, I need to select my resource group. I don't have one, so I can create it right away. So I'll click on Create New. I will call it NITARG, resource group. Click OK. Now let's give your machine a name. I will call it NITAVM01. Now, in which region you want to create your virtual machine? Remember, if this virtual machine is serving any services to customers, then this computer must be created as close as possible to your users or employees or customers. Now, I will deploy it in Canada Central, that is closest region to me. Then the next option is availability. Well, if you select no infrastructure redundancy required, that means you're telling Azure that you don't need high availability, so only one instance of the machine will be created. But then you have multiple options to build high availability. If you select availability zone, then you can select multiple zones where your instances will be replicated. Remember, it's the same machine with the same service, but in multiple places. So if one zone gets down, your service is still running on the other side. So your content is highly available. The next one is virtual machine scale set. Virtual machine scale set means that according to your request or according to the load on the virtual machine, more instances will be created. Think about events like Christmas or New Year. Everybody know that during Christmas, a lot of people start to shop around, right? So let's say there is a server which is serving e-commerce website. Well, during Christmas, the load on that server will go up for sure. Now, one server cannot handle this infinite increasing of load. It actually goes way too up. In that case, Azure will build more instances of the same machine and load balance it. Now, if the load goes up, there will be like 10 machines in the backend, and the load will be balanced among that. So this automatic scaling of your machine will be done by Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set. And then you have availability set. Here you create multiple machines, by the way. Azure will not create it for you. You create multiple machines, but remember, all machines must be identical. And then you can decide to distribute those machines among fault domains and update domains. Azure gives you 3 fault domain and 20 maximum update domains. Fault domain simply means that it will protect your instances from a rack, node, or server or hard drive failure. Okay? And update domain means that when Microsoft is doing their regular maintenance, your server, yes, might be down, but your services are still running on other servers as well. And Azure will make sure to go through update domains one by one. That means, let's say you have 20 machines in 20 update domains. Azure will make sure to update only one domain at a time. So at any given time during maintenance, only one machine will be down and you will still have 19 machines working for you. When the update is done on the first machine, then Azure will move to the second one and the first one will come online. So that is your availability set. Now, for just a machine for demo purposes, you can go with no infra required. It's good enough. Next is security. Well, if you want a virtual TPM, a trusted platform module, yes, Azure also provide that. Otherwise, the standard security is good enough. Remember, your machine also have a TPM hardware. That is why you are running Windows 11. It's actually a prerequisite these days. So I'll keep it standard. Next is image. Treat image as a managed image or operating system image repository. Here, Microsoft manage set of operating systems, not just Microsoft. You will find multiple operating systems here, all managed by Microsoft. So there is no chance that one of these images will have any malware or any backdoors baked into it. Now, I can select Windows 10, let's say. You can select Windows Server or maybe a specific firewall operating system or Linux. There are so many distributions here. I'll go with Windows 11, why not? Let's go with that. Then, if you want to see more images, you click here, see all images. Here in the marketplace, you will see all the managed images. There is 697 pages, so there's a lot of images here. All right. The next is VM architecture. You don't have to worry about it, but some operating systems do work on ARM architecture as well. In that case, you may have to make a choice. But for Windows 11, well, ARM is not supported, only 64 or 32-bit is supported. ARM is usually used for processors like M1, M2, M3, M4 by Apple, or Snapdragon from, Qualcomm from Snapdragon, and then other ARM architecture as well, like MediaTek and so on. Specifically, your phone, your tablets are using ARM processors. Next is run Azure with spot discount. Well, this is also one of the awesome feature here. To understand it quickly, I will give you an example. Imagine that you're running a parking space business where you charge $10 for a parking space, or let's say $50 per parking space for one day. Now you're running a business, it's going well, but then during off-peak days or off-peak season, you will see that a lot of your parking space is not utilized. Now, can you offer those parking spots for cheaper rates? Yes, you can. So you tell everyone that you can take this parking space for just $5. But there's a condition. This is just a spot discount, means whenever a higher paying customer will come in, or whenever I need this parking space back, I have the authority to take it back. So what do you get? You get a $5 parking space, pretty cheap. But the risk is, whenever that parking space is required by someone, you have to vacate it. Similarly, Azure have a lot of unused sizes. all right, the combination of the resources which is not used by anyone. So Azure can give you a heavy discount on it. But whenever that resource need to be used for some purposes by Azure, Azure will take it back from you and your instance will go offline. So you get cheaper rates, but the risk is your instance might not be stable. So that is your spot discount. The next is size. Imagine you're buying a laptop for you. You select how much RAM you need, how many uh, cores you must have for your processor, what will be your hard drive speed, and all that stuff, configuration. So you basically decide the configuration of your machine here. Remember, higher the configuration, the expensive the machine will get. That is usually true for your laptop purchase as well. So for me, I'm okay with DS1 V2. Remember, there are multiple versions and tiers of the sizes. For example, D tier, that stands for DS1. D tier is for general purpose compute. Then there is N tier. N tier, N for November. N tier means that these sizes will also have a graphic card attached to it. Maybe you need this device for AutoCAD or any graphical intensive task. So you can select that. I'm okay with DS1. If you want to see all the sizes, you can click see all sizes here. Next is if you want to enable hibernation feature. Hibernation is pretty good. This makes sure that whenever you shut down your machine, I'm not talking about sleep, there's a difference here. When you shut down your machine, the content is actually moved from your RAM to your hard drive and saved. So it's actually a proper cold machine. When you turn that machine on again, that content from the hard drive is loaded back to your RAM, and you will get all your, let's say, sessions back. Let's say you were working on a document, it will be there on your screen. That is your hibernation. Your laptop also have this feature. Next is administrator account. Well, this account have nothing to do with your Azure Entra ID structure. This is just a local admin account of your machine. So I'll call it NITA admin, and you can give it any password you like. Perfect. The next one is inbound port rules. That means if someone wants to connect with this machine from public domain, means internet, then certain ports must be open because some services will go through it. So if you want to, let's say, connect with this machine remotely, which we want, then you have to open RDP. If it is the Linux machine, then you have to open SSH. If this machine is providing websites, then you may have to open your HTTP or HTTPS. It depends on type of websites you have. Now we want to connect with this machine, so I will keep RDP open, Remote Desktop Protocol. Then we will accept our license and go to next tab. The next tab is all about disk, operating system disk. Well, here you can select the size of your disk. Do you want 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, whatever you want, you can select that. And then you can also select the type of disk you want. Premium SSDs will give you awesome performance, but you can also go for standard HDD. These are slower, but they are also cheap. So if you're just running a test run or you're running a demo, you can use standard hard drive as well. Then encryption. Remember, your data at rest is always encrypted. Now your choice is, do you want to manage the key or do you want Azure manage the key? I'm okay with Azure managing my key. Now, this is where you can add extra hard drives. Just like your machine or your laptop, you can add extra hard drive machines. Not machines, you can add extra hard drives to your machine. Advanced means you can use ephemeral disk, especially for lightweight operating system. This makes sure that your operating system is actually loaded on the hard drive in the same server where your instance is running in the data center. In short, your operating system will be as close as possible to your virtual machine. This gives you lowest latency and highest performance. But again, Microsoft cannot give you all the space they have on their servers. So these ephemeral disks are pretty small, and you can only install small operating systems there. Next is networking. As you know, we have not created any network, but Azure Virtual Machine needs a network. So this is where you can actually create a new one. Azure is creating a new network anyhow for us called NITA VM01 VNet. But you can also change the name if you want. You can change the IP, and you can also change the name of your public IP. But I'm okay with it because we are learning how to create virtual machine quickly. Perfect. Now, do you need a public IP? Of course you do. You want to connect with this machine, so there must be a front end which will listen for your request coming from internet. Now, do you want to open certain ports? Yes, there will be NSG. NSG is kind of a security guard. It blocks or allow communication going through certain ports. So we have NSG here. And then you can say, hey, please allow RDP. We want to get in. So I selected that. Now I select this option just for easy management. That is, delete your public IP and network card when you delete the VM. This means that when you remove the VM, Azure will also delete the connected network card and hard drive. Otherwise, when you delete the VM, hard drives and network cards are not deleted. It will just stay there. Now, here you can make this machine a part of Azure Load Balancer's pool, the backend pool, or application gateway's backend pool. Means if you have a load balancer or application gateway in your environment, you can put this machine inside their pool straight away. You can also do it later. We don't do much in management, but again, you can enable system assigned management identity. Means you can create a service principal or service identity of this machine. Then this machine can be authenticated by your Entra ID. Or you can connect or join this machine to Entra ID. It's like domain join. If you do that, your Entra ID users can also log in, log out. Those will be your domain users. Otherwise, if you don't do this, your machine will be a work group machine, not a domain join machine. And then you can enable auto shutdown. Let's say you want Azure to shut down this machine every night because you don't want to pay for a running machine even when you're not using it. You can do that. Then you can enable backup of this machine. And then you can also decide if you want Azure to update your machine or do you want to manually update it. You can also do that. Next is monitoring. This is where you enable it and you can make sure to create alerts or monitor your machine, which means if your machine is not in a healthy state, you will get an alert. Well, for a demo, you don't have to keep monitoring your environment. Advanced is where you can run extra extensions. Extension is nothing. Extension is like installing a third party or even a Microsoft app or application which is not a part of the image. Let's say you want to install an antivirus or you want to install the graphic card driver or something like that. Anything which is not involved with the operating system, you can actually add it here. Click tags. There's no need for tags here. But you can actually add tags. Tags help you to find this device, to filter out. Let's say you're creating a report on expenses. Then you can find this device with the tag, or you can also use tags to filter out the resources. All right, once everything is done, your validation will pass, and then you can click on create, and the machine will be created. This is the fastest and the easiest way to create machine. All right, so the machine is now deployed. Let's go and try to connect with it. So to connect with the machine, you need the address of that machine. Remember, we actually applied a public IP to it. So if you go to the machine, on the overview page, you can find the public IP. You need this. Or you can also click here, connect, and then click on connect. This will allow you to download the RDP file. Well, that file is again taking you to the same IP. So this is more critical. Perfect. Now, on your Windows device, don't worry about the sandbox. Just close it. On your Windows device, you can just go to Start and type RDP. You all have this client. And paste that public IP and click on Connect. That's it. And this is where you provide the local admin account of your machine. So this will be NITAADMIN and the password, and hit enter. And here we go. So this is how you create the machine. The machine is up, and we are now connecting with that computer. With this demo or this lab is also over. I actually recommend that you should also create your own machine and try it multiple times until you become comfortable with it. I will see you in the next lab. Take care. All right, welcome to your next lab. In this lab, again, we will create a virtual machine, but now we will create the components manually. So all the dependent components, such as your, let's say, your hard drive, your image, NSGs, your IP address, your networks, your public IP, we will create it all manually and then connect it. So let's start with a resource group. We already have one, NITARG. Now in this resource group, we can create a virtual network of our own choice. So I'll click on Create, then select my subscription and my resource group, and give my network a name. So I will call it NITA VNet01 in Canada Central. For security, we are not learning the security aspect right now, so I will leave it. Next is IP address. This is where you can define your own IP address. Plus, you can also subdivide it with the help of subnets. I will use Class B. How about this one? Now you can change your subnet's name, or you can create even more subnets if you want. That's it. If you want to create more subnets, you can. If you want to create more networks, yes, you can. All right. And let's create our network. Perfect. So it's done. Now let's create a data disk, means extra hard drive which you want to connect with your machine. So I can just go here and search for disk. Remember, this is the old one. I can create a new one. This is my operating system disk for a machine which I created. I will create a new one. I will select my resource group, give this disk a name, data disk. Region will be Canada Central. I don't need high availability, but you can have multiple instances of your disk in multiple zones to offer you high availability. I don't need it. Now, do you want to create an empty disk, or do you want to create an operating system disk out of a snapshot? Or maybe you want to create it out of a public image. Or maybe you just want to put some data inside it. I just want to create an empty one. What will be the size of this disk? I can click on change size here. I don't want a huge disk. Well, let's make it small. And you can also decide the performance of the disk. You can go for premium SSDs or the standard hard drives. I will go with standard hard drive of 32 gigabits. A small hard drive is good enough. Next is encryption. Remember, you cannot disable encryption for data at rest. Data at rest is always encrypted. Now, I will just let Microsoft manage the encryption key. Networking. Do you want this disk to be accessible from everywhere? Yes, you can do that. Or you can also create a private endpoint where a machine in a specific network can only see this disk. That will offer you high security. But a public access is good enough for this demo. Nothing to do in the advanced right now. Tags, you can actually add it to make sure your filter process is easy, but not a compulsion. And you create a disk. And it's done. Now, how about NSG? Remember, when you create your machine, you also need to create NSG to open certain ports or to protect the ports. Well, you can create NSGs manually. Just search for NSG. Click on Create, select your resource group, and give it a name. Tags, Next, and Create. NSG is also created. Remember, NSG is not configured or assigned yet, so you also have to configure and assign it later. I just created the NSG. How about one more dependency, that is public IP? Can you create public IP manually? Yes. Without creating a machine, yes, you can create public IPs. This public IP is already been used by one machine, so you need to create a new one. I will select my resource group, my region, and give my machine a public IP a name. I will call it NITA PUB public IP. Here you can select the version. I will go with IPv4. IPv6 is also available. And standards queue will be selected. Do you want high availability for your public IP as well? You can select multiple zones. I'm okay with no zone. Tier. Do you want your public IP to be routable on regional area? Again, if you select regional, yes, you can still access that public IP globally, but it will give you highest performance in regional area. So I will select that. Now, which routing preference or routing method you need? Not actually routing method. This is the media, like internet or Microsoft Backbone. I will select Microsoft Backbone. Now, you can also give this public IP a domain name. You can call it, let's say, your company's VM or web server .canadacentral.cloudapp.azure.com. If you don't do this, then you have to access this public IP with the IP address itself. We will do that. DDoS protection. It protects you from distributed denial of service attacks. Well, this service is expensive, so if you need it, only then use it. Otherwise, I will just disable it. Now, you just created a simple public IP. Perfect. Now, what if you want to create your own golden image? Means you want to install the operating system, but not from Microsoft Marketplace. You want to install your own custom image. Yes, you can do that as well. Now, for that demo, I have a test machine which I created in a previous lab. I will use it. As you can see, this is the machine which I created previously. Let's create a folder here. Test folder. Now, why I'm creating this? Just to showcase that I made some change in this image. Now, I will extract this image and I will use it as an example. So when we will deploy a new computer, you should see this folder in that computer as well. Now, in real life, you may have multiple applications there. You may have multiple services. You may have multiple services removed from that machine and whatever you need to do for your scenario. This is just for test purposes. So I'm happy with that. I can actually now sign out. I don't need this machine. I will just extract my image out of it. Signing out, and this will be disconnected. Perfect. Now I will go to the machine over here and click on capture. image. I will select my resource group, regional will be there. Do you want to create a gallery where you can put multiple images? Yes, you can create one. But in our case, we are just taking one image just for example. So there is no need to create a gallery. That was this option. Automatically delete this machine once the image is created. Maybe this machine is just a reference computer and you don't want to keep it anymore. So once the image is extracted, you can also delete this. I will do that. And zone resiliency is also available for image so that your image is also highly available. Now the name, I will call it new Windows image. Tags, click next and create. And it will be created. So I just showed you that how can you create multiple dependencies or multiple resources independently. If you go to resource group, click on resource group here and click on resource visualizer. As you can see, we created multiple things and they are not connected to anything. This NSG is just sitting alone, public IP is sitting alone, this disk is sitting alone, and then soon there will be an image sitting alone. And this machine over here will be removed after extracting the image. So everything is disconnected. When we have the image, I will show you how to connect them all together to finally have your virtual machine. All right, stop the machine, generalized, and the next process will be to delete your old environment. So soon this machine will be gone. I will wait for it, and then I will come back. All right, as you can see, now the last step, deleting the virtual machine. Azure will do it automatically. Let's go back, and the machine is still there. It just happened, so give it some time. Eventually, this machine will be gone. How about Resource Visualizer? Yes, that is gone. Now you have so much stuff, but nothing is connected. You have hard drives separately, you have image, you have NSG, you have public IP, and you have your network as well. This is for the old one. I will delete this as well. All right, now we can start. So let's create a virtual machine using all these components which we created separately. So let's go to virtual machine. Click on create Azure virtual machine. Select your resource group here. Then give your machine a name, NITAVM01. Availability, I don't need it. Security standard. And the first step, image. Now over here, you can actually select your image. You will not find it in a Dropbox. You will go to all images and click on my images, not in marketplace. Click my images. That's the image you created. You select that. Perfect. Now you select your size. I'm okay with DS1v2. And give a local admin username and password. Done. Now, I want to open RDP as it is. License type is Windows Server or Windows Client. This is a Windows 11 machine, so it is client. Because Azure don't know that. You used a custom image. I'll accept it. Click Next. For the disk, I will go with standard hard drive. Now, second step, can you attach the disk you created, the data disk? Yes, you can. So create and attach a new disk? No. Attach an existing disk. This is the one we created, 32 gig. Select that. Next, networking. Do you want to create a new network? Not really. I want to create the network I already had. So I created this network called NITAVNet, but in the wrong resource group, my bad. But you can use it. As you can see, that was class B, 172.16.0.0. Perfect. How about public IP? No, I can use the public IP I created. And how about NSG? Well, I can use the NSG I created again. You go to advanced and you select your NSG. This is just for the management option. I will select that. So this is how you can select your resources to connect together. Let's go ahead, monitoring. I don't want to monitor. Advanced, nothing, tags, no need. And create this machine. Now this will take some time to deploy. Once it is deployed, I will come back and we'll move forward in configuring our NSG and then connecting with this machine. Remember, we are doing everything step by step manually. So Azure will not configure anything for us. So you still have to configure your NSG and make sure RDP port is open. All right, so we have our machine here and it is running. If you can see, yeah, it is running. Now let's go to our resource group and see if there's any change there. Nothing. Let's refresh. As you can see, things are now connected. Oh, we also have our data disk there. So let's try to connect with our machine now. We'll go to our virtual machine. We need to get the front-end IP, the public domain IP, that is public IP. I'll copy it. And let's go to RDP, paste it, try to connect. We cannot. This simply means that every component is properly connected, but maybe it is not configured. So let's go and check. If you go to networking, click on network settings. Here we go. We have our network card and NSG connected to it, our own NSG, but RDP is not configured. So I will quickly just create a new inbound port rule. Source can be any. Right now, I'm only interested in opening RDP port. That's it. Let's add this rule. Now, once you add the rule, let's try it again. Still not working. So whenever you add the rule, just wait for at least a minute. All right, let's try again. And here we go. So NITA admin. Oh, sorry. NITAADMI admin. And let's connect. All right, we are in. And as you can see, the test folder is still there. So this just proves that yes, you can create components separately, then connect them. And you can also configure, maintain these components separately as well. So imagine that you are building a structure with Legos. So how you use Legos to build a structure, you just use multiple pieces, you connect them. But also in Legos, you cannot connect two pieces if they are not compatible. Similarly in Azure, if the components are compatible, then you can connect them. If not, then you cannot. So with that, this lab is also over. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Welcome back. Now, I hope that you know how to deploy a virtual machine. Remember, even though deploying a virtual machine was straightforward, but this virtual machine becomes a building block of any infrastructure you want in your environment. Remember, virtual machines are very critical. So, whenever you deploy a virtual machine, whether it is one or hundreds, whether you are doing it manually or you are using automation, make sure to test your machine or images properly and then deploy it for the real production environment. Now, to sum this episode up, I will say that you should choose VM sizes based on your specific workload. Now, what size will be required? This information can be generated by your administrator, or you can also find it with your software packages. If you know that many software packages or application have this recommended performance for optimal processing, right? This recommended performance or recommended configuration is actually mentioned. So from there, you will get a ballpark idea that what kind of configuration I should go for. Once that is done, then you will use the correct VM image to quickly deploy it on the right virtual machine size. You can also install any softwares at this point if you need and make it a custom image. Well, configuring operating system settings for security, performance, and networking will be done later. That is also very important because this is how your machine will actually behave in the future. If you enable automatic updates, your machine will stay up to date and it will make your instance more secure. Then, for high availability and fault tolerance, you can use virtual machine scale sets. Then, if you want to actually change some configuration in your operating system or in your machine while you're deploying it, you can also use scripts to actually automate that process. Now, all this will make your machine efficient, performant, scalable, optimized, and highly available. So that's it for this episode. I will see you in the next episode. Hey, also check out NetSoft IT Academy. We do offer many courses on multiple technologies, such as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, networking, system administration, on-premises infrastructure, and much more. Take care.